Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus, and I've got a story to tell you about what happened to me when I started middle school. The summer before my middle school started really busy. We were moving at the end of the summer, so my dad took the whole family to the beach for a week in the middle of June. Little did I know my life was going to change from that moment on. The rest of the summer was crazy. I had to go to the doctor's office a lot, and I was trying to hang out with my friends as much as possible before we moved. I wasn't going to know anybody at the new school, and I was nervous about making new friends. Finally, September rolled around, and it was the first day of school. Even though we were within walking distance of the school, my mom insisted on driving me. I had my new lunchbox and my new backpack. I was wearing my new long-sleeve shirt and jeans, I had my sunglasses on, and I was slathered in sunscreen. Before I hopped out of the car, my mom gave me an umbrella for extra coverage and told me she'd already talked with the school about my class schedule conflicts. Everything was set, and I was actually looking forward to it. I walked into school, and instantly, all eyes were on me. Of course. I was the new kid. I didn't like the attention, but I tried to act confident with my umbrella in hand. I smiled and waved at everyone. Some waved back. Others just turned and whispered to each other and hurried off to their homerooms. The first day of school was a breeze. The only downside was that I had to eat lunch and have recess inside. My teachers were really nice, and I could tell I was going to like my classes. Most of the kids left around 3 p.m., but my mom worked, so I went to extended day. While I was waiting for her to come pick me up, my history teacher even told me that when we got further into the year, there were going to be after-school clubs I could join with the other kids. Now, that was something to look forward to. The rest of the week went by pretty quickly, and I made friends with these kids named Liam and Chris. They'd sit and eat lunch with me and hang out with me in the cafeteria or gym during recess. One day, Liam didn't come to lunch. I asked Chris where he was, and he told me Liam had to go to the principal's office for getting into a fight with some other kid. Liam in a fight? I couldn't believe it. When I asked what the fight was about, Chris didn't want to tell me, but I kept asking, and eventually, he admitted that Liam had beat up one of the boys who was making fun of me. Around the school, kids had been calling me the vampire. I'll admit I wasn't surprised. I was always indoors, and my mom always put too much sunscreen on me, which made me look super pale, but I couldn't help it. The reason I'd been going to the doctors so much was that I had developed a sun allergy. Yep. I'm allergic to the sun, the thing that hangs out in the sky 12 hours a day, 365 days a year. I was so embarrassed about the whole thing that I hadn't really told anyone besides Liam and Chris. And while I understood why kids called me vampire, it still hurt. I told Chris and Liam not to worry about it because it didn't bother me. I was lying. That afternoon, I was forced to go outside for the fire drill. I was covered in my various specially made sun clothes and had my umbrella and sunglasses. I was nervous, but everything was going well. That is, until we started filing back to class. Some of the kids snickered at me, and eventually, one of the bullies called me out. He kept calling me that cruel nickname in front of everybody. I yelled at him to leave me alone, and the bullies backed off for a second, but then they laughed and stole my umbrella. The big one kept laughing at me and asking if I was going to turn to ash. Then his friends grabbed me, pushed up my sleeves, and then pushed me down to the ground. I wasn't bleeding, but the skin on my arms was exposed, and right away, red splotches appeared. I screamed and cried at the pain as I tried to pull back down my sleeves. Seeing the bright red rashes covering my arms, the bullies backed away. Kids gasped, shocked, and backed away like I had some kind of disease. A teacher saw what was happening and hurried over. She took me to the nurse's office so I could put some steroid cream on the rashes, and they called my mom. My mom, of course, freaked out big time and drove over as fast as she could to take me home. Luckily, it was a Friday, so I didn't have to go to school for the next couple of days. But I didn't feel better. I hated being in this protected bubble, but I wasn't sure if I could face the kids at school when I went back on Monday. My mother definitely didn't want me going back, but my dad convinced her I couldn't run away from things. So she agreed to let me go back one more week before she'd decide if I should be homeschooled or not. On Monday, my arms were still a little red, but I was feeling better. Pretty much the whole school had heard about the incident, so my homeroom teacher brought me up in front of the class to explain my condition. I told everyone that I was allergic to the sun and got painful rashes if I wasn't completely covered up. I told them I wasn't allowed to be outside during peak sun hours from 10 to 4, so I couldn't go out during lunch, recess, and extended day. I felt embarrassed to have to explain everything. If anything, I felt like even more of a freak. But the craziest thing happened. At lunch the next day, a few kids came inside and had lunch with Chris, Liam, and me. They asked questions about my condition and were really understanding. A couple of them told me that they could relate because they had their own allergies. That really helped me feel not so alone. All week, people brought me extra sunscreen in case I needed it, and I even got my old umbrella back. In the end, my parents both agreed that I can stay in school. The kids all call me Drac now for Dracula, and we all think that that's an awesome nickname. When we play games in class, I always type my name as Drac, and everyone knows who it is. I still get picked on every once in a while for my condition, but I don't let it get me down. I have friends who've got my back. Who could ask for anything more? So, that's my story about my allergy to the most powerful thing in our solar system, the sun. What about you? Are you allergic to anything that sometimes gets you down? Share your story in the comments below and see who else has a similar experience. Thanks a bunch for listening to my story. If you liked it, please hit the like button and subscribe for more crazy stories.